Tuesday, 30 June 2026. 3 Asia-Pacific AI stories before your first coffee. AI health assistants across Asia are now serving as the first point of care for tens of millions of users, triaging symptoms, reading test results, and routing patients to human doctors. Ant Group's Ant Afu reached roughly 30 million monthly users by January 2026, with more than half located in smaller cities where access to physicians remains thin. Singapore refreshed its AI in healthcare guidelines in March 2026, signaling that regulatory frameworks are starting to catch up with adoption already at scale. Why it matters? The care pathway is being reordered before most health ministries have written the rules. Builders integrating triage models into super apps or telehealth platforms now face a patchwork of emerging standards, with Singapore's updated guidelines likely to become a reference point for Southeast Asian neighbors drafting their own. Capital allocators should watch the referral layer closely. Platforms like Howtofoot that sit between the AI front end and the licensed clinician are becoming critical infrastructure, and their economics will shift as regulators define liability for AI-generated triage advice. The second-order effect worth tracking is insurance. Once triage logs become auditable data, insurers across the region will start pricing policies off AI interaction records, changing underwriting models for hundreds of millions of users. So, Seoul's major banks and brokerages are bidding aggressively for a thin pool of AI engineers, with quant counteroffers now reaching 140 to 160% of base salary and setting the pace for wages across the capital's digital economy. Xinjiang has led a senior hiring spree and launched an AI-integrated all-in-one finance app in June, while rivals across banking and fintech scramble to match. Digital finance wages in Seoul are forecast to rise 8.5 to 11.2% in 2026, a pace that has drawn the attention of the Bank of Korea as a potential inflation risk. Why it matters? The talent war reprices the cost of building AI inside Korean financial services, and that cost flows downstream to every fintech and startup competing for the same engineers. Builders outside the chaebol banking tier will feel it first, forced to offer equity-heavy packages or relocate teams to cheaper metros like Busan or offshore hubs. Capital allocators backing Korean AI plays should model labor cost inflation into bill rates now, not after the next funding round. The second-order effect worth tracking is the Bank of Korea's posture. If the central bank flags AI wage pressure as a contributor to services inflation, it could delay rate cuts that Seoul's broader tech sector is counting on for cheaper capital in late 2025 and into 2026. Now, Tokyo unveiled a 370 trillion yen, roughly $2.3 trillion investment plan running to 2040, placing AI and semiconductors at the center of Japan's industrial comeback. Some 101.6 trillion yen is ring-fenced specifically for AI and chips, with a 40 trillion yen chip sales target baked in. The headline number is large, but it remains unclear how much is genuinely fresh capital versus relabeled commitments spread across 14 years. Why it matters? The plan hardens a pattern now visible across the region, where state-directed capital, compute build-outs, and power infrastructure are the defining inputs for national AI strategies. South Korea, India, and Southeast Asian governments each face pressure to respond with comparable commitments, but risk falling behind on sovereign compute capacity. Builders should watch two delivery risks closely. Japan's electricity supply is already tight, and the country faces a well-documented shortage of AI engineers, both of which could slow execution regardless of execution size. For capital allocators, the 40 trillion yen chip sales target signals that Tokyo expects to compete directly with Korean and Taiwanese foundry ecosystems, which means pricing and subsidy dynamics across Asia's semiconductor supply chain are about to shift again. That is your AI in Asia briefing for today. Stay sharp, build well, see you tomorrow.